Being perfect is just fear in a fancy outfit, and it's making you slower, more anxious, and yep, literally dumber. Perfection is a lie we tell ourselves to avoid risk. And the truth is, you don't need better ideas, you need worse first drafts. We might sometimes think perfection is a strength, but it's actually the reason why many creatives literally never start. The longer you wait to start, the more your brain convinces you not to. So here's how to escape that loop: starting ugly. Greetings, you sentient meatball. My name is Charlie, and I have a degree in industrial and organizational psychology. And this is Acting Creative, a YouTube channel that I've wanted to start for literally years, but always had the right excuse to over-prepare, think of something better, or do it another time. I love people, cars, creating things, and for those last few years, I too thought I needed the perfect plan or concept before literally starting anything. Turns out that's the fastest way to kill a really good idea. Because the truth is, the secret to creativity is doing something ugly and really bad first. Rick Rubin was the first person I heard say this that really resonated with me. He said, write it all down. Every idea, every weird half thought, because once it leaves your brain and hits the page, it becomes real. You're taking a fleeting, invisible thought and literally bringing it to life. You're telling your brain, like, this matters. And when something exists, then you can shape it. But until then, it's just mental clutter pretending to be potential. So let's talk about what's actually happening in your brain when you're stuck in perfectionism paralysis. There's this thing called the approach avoidance conflict that was first studied by psychologist Kurt Lewin back in the 30s. Basically, when you have a goal that's both attractive and threatening, like creating something amazing but risking it being terrible, our brain literally gets stuck. And that tension, it makes your brain short circuit. You procrastinate, you tell yourself you're just planning, but nothing gets made. And when that tension builds, you experience cognitive dissonance, which is your brain basically throwing excuses at you like, maybe I'm not ready, I need to learn more, it's not the right time, just trying to protect itself. So then what does your brain do? It takes the easiest path forward every single time. Let's scroll TikTok, let's clean our room to pretend we're being productive, or watch YouTube videos about starting instead of actually starting. But what if I told you your brain isn't the enemy, and it's just doing its job? It's protecting you from risk, failure, and maybe from embarrassment. So what do? We bypass the perfectionist brain entirely. Sometimes this is just doing it ugly. Doing it ugly is like showing up to the gym in Crocs and a bathrobe. It's not pretty, but you're there, and that's where change actually happens. And research backs this up. Harvard's Teresa Amabile tracked creative professionals over months, and she found that the biggest breakthroughs didn't happen on perfect days or perfect scenarios. They happen on days when people just show up and make small, ugly progress. They're tiny steps, half-baked attempts, doodles, or just drafts. And she called it the progress principle. It's even the smallest forward motion gives your brain a hit of dopamine. And that dopamine, it builds momentum. Your brain says, hey, like, we're doing the thing. Let's keep going. And intrinsic motivation will take over from there. But even better, your subconscious starts to help here. Psychologist Bluma Zygarnik discovered that our brains are literally wired to remember unfinished tasks better than completed ones. It's called the Zygarnik effect. Who would have thought? Your mind keeps chewing on things you've started, even if you stop thinking about them. So when you create something ugly, your brain keeps working on it. It's like in the background, like without your permission. So now let's go a little bit deeper. There's a familiar concept in neuroscience called neuroplasticity, which is your brain's ability to rewire itself. And when you create through discomfort, and when you ignore the voice demanding perfection, you're literally building new neural pathways. You're strengthening your courage circuits and growing your mid-anterior cingulate cortex. Shout out Andrew Huberman, I love you for teaching me that one. But here's the wild part. When you obsess over perfection, your brain starts to panic. And research from Yale's Dr. Amy Arnsten shows that stress makes the prefrontal cortex, which is the brain responsible for creativity and problem solving, go offline. Blood flow literally shifts to more primitive parts of your brain focused on threat detection. So perfection doesn't make you smarter, it makes you hesitate, overthink, and lose momentum, all while convincing you're being smart. When you give yourself permission to be messy, bad, or even a little cringe, that's when the growth mindset shows up, which is a term coined by Carol Dweck. You stop trying to prove your worth and start improving your skill. There's also something called the generation effect, and it's when you generate something yourself, even if it's bad, you remember it better. You understand it more deeply, and your brain rewards effort, not polish. So quickly, I wanted to show you something that I absolutely love. This is an early draft of SpongeBob. It's messy, it's half-formed. It is from season 1, 1999, which is super cool. It's definitely not what you saw on TV, but it's the foundation of everything that came after that. And how about something like Instagram? Originally, it was a complicated check-in app called Bourbon. Nobody used it, but once they stripped it down to just photos, boom, breakthrough. And in psychological research, some of the most groundbreaking studies started with researchers just messing around with ideas that seemed too simple or obvious. That famous Stanford marshmallow experiment, Walter Mischel just wanted to figure out a simple way to test kids' self-control. Super ugly beginning for something that literally revolutionized how we understand human behavior. Most of us avoid starting because we think starting means commitment, big commitment. But if you treat the first step as a tiny experiment, a no pressure, just for today kind of test, suddenly it's safer to begin. So over and over again, these big ideas start ugly. But how do we actually do it ugly? Well, here's what works for me. First, it's called the 2-minute rule. You tell yourself, I'm going to do this for 2 minutes and that's it. It's a psychological trick. It's okay. This is my first video, bad draft. People come to the door and that's normal. You basically give yourself 2 minutes to start and do anything bad. And that's really about it. It's a psychological trick called the foot in the door technique. And once you start, it's easier to keep going. Second, treat it like a tiny experiment. You don't need to commit to a whole idea. Just try something and see what happens. Psychologist and author Melissa Steganis, excuse me if I butchered that, I love your book, called these tiny experiments. They're playful tests that free you from the pressure of getting it right. You're not building a masterpiece, you're running an experiment. Third, use the implementation intentions. Don't say, I'll write it later. Say, I'll write one paragraph at 9 a.m. in my kitchen. Specific plans bypass the perfectionist brain ability to negotiate. And here's one that works for me. Talk to your perfectionist brain like it's a nervous little friend. Hey buddy, thanks for trying to protect me from failure, but I'm going to do this ugly thing anyway because that's how we grow. Now here's what I want you to remember. Breakthroughs aren't pretty. They're messy, clumsy, and a little painful, like me getting to this video. But they happen when you take imperfect action and not when you sit around waiting to be perfect. There's a concept in psychology called post-traumatic growth, which is essentially, we grow after hard experiences. And I think the same thing happens in creativity, post-ugly growth. Every time you create something imperfect and survive it, your brain learns. Like, hey, that wasn't so bad, let's do it again. And the most successful creatives we all know, they don't avoid failure. They fail fast, and they fail forward, and they fail ugly. They've rewired their brains to see imperfection as information, learning, and not judgment. So here's your challenge. Think of one thing you've been putting off because you want to do it really well. Got it? Now go do it ugly. 2 minutes, literally 120 seconds, without polish, no edits, no second guessing yourself. Because the world doesn't need another perfect idea stuck in your head. It needs your messy, weird, beautifully human version right now. Leave a comment and tell me what you're going to do ugly today or this week or whenever. And if this helps, hit subscribe. We're diving deep into the psychology of creativity, growth, and the philosophy of fun. So remember, done ugly beats perfect never done. Now go have fun and make something absolutely terrible. Goodbye, everyone.